So again, I'm going to go ahead and just start with a quick what this webinar is going to be about. What I'm going to be doing is showing you a high-level overview of our RMM solution and kind of going over some of the details, some key features and functionality and how it's used. We're not going to be going too much into the setup or the minutia of things in terms of, you know, maybe some specific scenarios. I am going to leave some time for Q&A. Towards the end, and anytime during the presentation, if you want to have something clarified or ask a question, please put that into the Q&A session. We have about 50 or so people on this meeting, so I've muted everybody. That way, you know, we're not going to have side conversations and whatnot going on, but I will try to answer everybody's questions to the best of my ability during this webinar. So give about another minute for just some people to log in here, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so I think we have a pretty good quorum of people in here. Let's go ahead and get started. So thank you again for joining us. This is going to be a quick, about 30, 45-minute presentation. We'll leave some time for a quick Q&A of our RMM solution. In essence, PacketTrap is a holistic IT infrastructure monitoring solution, providing you actual insights into and visibility into your customer's IT infrastructure, whether it be a router or switch or a desktop or server, and providing you with a means to remediate those issues and remote control things remotely without having to actually be on site at the customer's location. So increasing your operational efficiency is the goal here. Allowing you to bring on more business without having to inhibit more labor costs associated with, you know, adding another technicians or whatnot. So again, PacketTrap is a holistic IT infrastructure monitoring solution. Anything with an IP address we can monitor. Obviously, there's going to be some different levels of integration, monitoring, depending on the vendors and whatnot. And I'll kind of touch base on a little bit of that. We are vendor agnostic, so you know, we do provide support for pretty much all the devices out there. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the product itself and start the demo presentation. So what everybody's looking at here is the PacketTrap RMM interface. This is the studio interface that connects to the server. I won't go too much into the architecture behind the scenes here, but just so you know that we do require at least one agent on the customer's location. The customer does not need to have a fully qualified domain name, just the server where this is hosted on so that the agent can report back. Excuse me. I'll talk about a little bit of what these modules are and what you're looking at here. So completely brandable, so your logo will go up here at the top. All your customers are on this drop-down list right here. And then you have a navigation pane on the left-hand side. So different modules that you have, group devices based on specific criteria that you're monitoring or features that are enabled. You can see here I have a few Macs, Linux devices. I have a few ESX server that we're monitoring. I have a SQL box, IPSLA for Cisco router probably. VIA devices, we also have an Avaya module, a ShoreTel module, and a Cisco wireless controller modules. Network mapping, global policies. I'll talk about this. This is, I'll leave this towards the end. This is going to be where, you know, you can find all the remediation, alerts, and whatnot. So from this main screen here, you have a list of all your customers' devices, their IP, host name, basic system uptime information. color coordinated for you. So yellow means that there's an alert triggered on the device. Red means that the device is down. And you can see here on the right-hand side, when I select a device, I get some more critical information for that. And green means that the device is running smoothly, no problems. So the more green you have, the better. This is a QA, environment, so we do a lot of testing here. That's why you might see a few devices that are down. Now, we're both agent and agentless. That means that we can actually monitor devices via SNMP and WMI, as well as deploying an agent. There are benefits to deploying an agent because it gives us a better control of the environment. And I'll talk a little bit about what those benefits are as I go over those features. And again, at any point that anybody has questions or would like to have something clarified, please put that into the Q&A chat session. I have it up on my end here so I can see it, and I will be able to respond. Well, I'll do my best to. So if I miss it, apologize, but I will try to respond. The first question is, what does it mean, agent and agentless? Basically, you can't install a piece of software on a router or switch, so we monitor those devices locally through the collection agent, and any Windows device can be a collection agent, or any agent residing on the Windows box can be a collection agent. We do have agents for Linux and Mac, but those monitor just the device itself. So all you need to do on the routers and switches is just enable SNMP, and that can be different depending on the vendor. So Cisco, Dell, Power Connects, Force 10s, Juniper devices, they have a little bit of a different syntax and way of enabling SNMP, whether through CLI or the UI interface. That all depends on the vendor. So that actually has to be done on the device itself. The cool thing is that right from this screen, just by network discovering the devices based on their IP, regardless of having SNMP enabled or not, for instance, on this device here, I can see I'm not getting any information. I can simply right-click on this device, click on Connect, and we have a few options to connect to this device. Web browser allows me to connect to the device without having to actually pull up the GUI to a device, without having to actually RDP into the network itself. So what this does is creates a socket tunnel by the agent that's monitoring it. We do have other remote control capabilities such as Expert Assist, RDP, VNC, SSH, Telnet, and web browser capability. Now I'll talk a little bit about, if you have any questions on the remote control, just go ahead and ask away, and I will talk a little bit more in depth on that. A couple other things that you can do from this screen here is we have built-in network diagnostic tools, as well as a few options. If you right-click on a device, you have a few more options such as traceroute, traffic jam, wake on LAN, DNS audit, and whatnot. Talk a little bit about settings and tickets. We do have built-in integration with a few PSAs that are out there, such as Autotask, ConnectWise, TigerPalm. We also have our own PSA, PacketTrap PSA, that we have built into integration with. All the integration is two-way, so tickets opened up in the system here, the RMM solution will get sent to the PSA software. Once closed out in the PSA software, it will close it out in the RMM solution. So initially the color will go from green to yellow. Once the ticket is worked on and closed, the issue is resolved. Once you close out the ticket in the PSA, it'll automatically send a callback and close the ticket out in the RMM software. So you only have to do things once. Again, the idea here is to improve your operational efficiency. So to get more detailed information from the device, all you need to do is double-click on it. Once you double-click on the device, it takes you to the individual device view tab where you're able to view all the running processes, Windows services, event logs. If you have critical applications such as Exchange, SQL, Active Directory on here, we're able to monitor those as well. And if any questions on that, I can go more in detail on that. We can probably spend a day just talking about SQL management. Patch management, I'll cover that in a little bit. You get to see all the logged in users. You got hardware inventory, disk volumes, and installed applications and whatnot. Now this is all monitoring, so I'll talk about where to create the alerts and all that. It's done in a little bit of a different section in the policies. I'll wrap that up towards the end. Again, you can connect to the device straight from here and run tools. There's a few other options like settings, how you want to monitor the device, exclusions, exceptions, changing remote control ports and resolutions and whatnot. That's all done on the individual device level here. Again, I'm trying to stay away from the really detailed minutia of setting this up. Just kind of want to give you a high-level overview of the system. Click this little blue button. It'll take us right back to the screen that we were visiting before. So again, on the desktop server, laptop monitoring, as long as you have an agent installed, and the reason we require an agent just gives us better control of the environment. And the few features that require an agent are custom scripts. I'll talk about those in a little bit. Patch management, expert assist is our remote control tool, and our antivirus deployment. Those are the few features that require having an agent installed. So one thing I want to demonstrate to you is this is just a test environment I have. I'm going to log into this device. I'm actually logged into it right now. It is a computer sitting right next to me. I'm going to log in via Expert Assist. Expert Assist is a hybrid. It's built on a VNC backbone. It's a hybrid between RDP and VNC. It allows behind-the-scenes remote control without interrupting the end user. So, Josh does not have to take a 3-hour coffee break while you try to troubleshoot his computer. Once you log in, it takes about 15 to 20 seconds to log in behind the scenes. It's going to open up a web UI. Give it a second here. It's opening up on my end here. Find it. Well, we can come back to that. It's going to launch in a second. My UI is blocking it. So, talked a little bit about the desktop server performance. Let's jump into the network side. So, PacketTrap, we are pretty network-centric, i.e. we're pretty much the only solution out there that granularly monitors the routers and switches through SNMP, as well as a few other capabilities that we have for specific devices like Dell and Cisco and SonicWall, capturing S-Flow, J-Flow capabilities, configuration backup, IPSLA. Our agents are both SNMP and syslog listeners. So with that said, let me jump into a particular router switch. So here I have my traffic analysis. I'm going to jump into the simulated switch here. And again, all I got to do is double click on this device, and it takes me right to it. So here I can see all my network interface utilization. This is a detailed chart view. Again, I can enable this, or I can view this in a dashboard view in more eye-candy charts. I'll show you that in a little bit. Here I have the syslog that I'm collecting, and I can alert off all this. You can filter the syslog on the device. You can filter the syslog. You can filter the syslog on the device level. You can also filter the syslog on the in the PacketTrap policy section. Quick question, just while we jump a little back to the desktop stuff. Somebody asked which way is the best way to connect. It really depends on the device. So we provide those protocols for you. It depends on the vendor on the device. Not all devices have a graphical UI that you can log into, so you wouldn't use the web browser for that. And not all devices can be logged in through SSH and whatnot, and not all devices can be logged in through Expert Assist. So you have a few capabilities out there. It really depends on the device that you're logging into. So another question is how tickets are created. Tickets are created based on the alerts, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. It doesn't really matter on the color status of the device. It matters on the type of alert that you have set up and whether you want the ticket to be generated in a PSA solution such as AutoTask or ConnectWise or RPSA or not. So the color coordinated status is just for you to see the status of the device. It's not tied to any ticket, so to speak. So one of the other things that we support is network traffic flow. This is a really cool tool to allow you behind scenes remote control to a device. I'm sorry, I'm backing up. I'm reading a question there. I apologize. This is going to provide you what is traversing the network, the behavior of the network, what applications are being used, what ports they're going through, the number of kilobytes, percentage of use, and whatnot, who's using them. And you can look at the last hour, the last 10. So we can support pretty much any kind of flow, S flow, J flow, N flow, as well as we also have our own PT flow. So if the device does not support flows and you don't, maybe your customer doesn't want to upgrade, there is a way in PacketTrap that we can collect those flows from a 2-wire or Linksys. It does require a little bit of a configuration on the device level. It'd be great if it supports port mirroring, spamming, but it's not required. And there's an article in our community, which is also built into the product here, that you can reference called PT Flow Config. So here I see all the applications, conversations going on. I can see the websites people are going to. I can see, top endpoint usages, interface utilizations. So let's say you get an alert that this particular interface is running above the threshold. We can double click on it and we can see exactly which device is using all that bandwidth and at what times. And we can log into this device if we're monitoring it and take a look exactly in order to fix the problem if it need be. Here you have domains, so what websites people are going to. And we can look at the top 10 to the top 5,000 if need be. So you have Google. So who's Googling right now? And you can also look at the top endpoints as well. So I can double click on Kathy here, and I can see exactly what Kathy's been doing, what applications she's been running, the ports she's been using, protocols, and her individual bandwidth usage. So you can see how it went from endpoints to conversations. So this is a really cool tool feature that will allow you to easily and quickly diagnose, what's going on in the network. So your customers are complaining that the network might be slow. Why? And this is going to answer the question why. So that part of the problem in IT in any industry pretty much is trying to understand what the problem may be. Once we understand what the problem may be, it's pretty simple to then use our expertise to solve it, or at least we'll know what to Google. So let's click back. One of the other things I talked about was configuration backup. Let me jump into this Cisco device here. So if configuration files change, what you can do is you can compare it to a previous time. It'll highlight the changes for you so you can see the comparison. It's easy on the eyes. You don't have to scroll through and try to figure out what's changed. We can also alert if a particular configuration file has changed or whatnot. So, and I'll talk about that towards kind of the end of when I wrap it up with the policies and whatnot. I want to kind of take a little bit of a break right now. We've gone about 18 minutes into this, and I want to just leave some time. If anybody has any questions on the traffic flow, configuration backup, how the system works, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to jump into the dashboard reports and a little bit on the custom scripting side. So hardware errors, that can be alerted off SNMP traps or system event logs for the servers and whatnot. Either way, our agents are as long as you're pointing the SNMP traps to the collection agent that's monitoring that device, our agent's going to listen on that specific port, whether it be the syslog port 514 or the SNMP trap port, which you can change within the system as well. So if you don't want to use the default port, you can change that on the system. And one other thing I'm going to talk about here is network mapping. So this, once you have SNMP enabled and you have the port mapper is working through SNMP, is what we're going to capture it with. We can build a relationship between the devices, how they're structured. So here I have a example map of a customer that has two locations, one in San Francisco, one in New York. And what I'm going to do is I can see the status of the New York office. It's red, so double click on it and I can see what's going on with it. And then furthermore, you can double click on this device and it'll take you right to the individual device, then you can remote control straight from here. This map can be customized in terms of the topology, so you can have a network topology or drop a map such as this in the background of Captain Spock's Enterprise Starship Command. So here we are monitoring their main hybrid Hyperloop drive. So this is just a JPEG that we threw in the back end here, and then just move the devices accordingly. Clean this up a little bit. Let's go into the dashboard real quick. So the dashboard that we provide, because you can have as many studios open as you'd like, this is actually kind of a NOC view of key metrics and statistics that you want to be able to look at across the board for all your customers. So the previous view that we were on was device specific or customer specific. Here you can look at all your customers' devices based on a particular category. And you can create line charts such as this right here, put in a web UI if you wanted to, so you can access specific articles straight from here. This can also be customer facing, so your customers can log in and view a pre-configured dashboard that you have set up for them. Put this into a full screen mode. You can cycle between the tabs. You can create your own gadgets. If there's a gadget here that you would like to view, you can go through the gadget wizard and create your own gadgets that can later be turned into a report. And we have built-in gadgets. Here's all the gadgets that we have built in. And again, this is completely customizable to whatever it is that you would like to see from a NOC perspective. All right, we can come back to this if anybody has any questions later on. Jumping into the reports are pretty critical, and we do have some pretty good reports, device inventory reports that you can send to your customers. All this can be automated with the report scheduler either right here on the bottom or at the top right there, scheduled reports. So you don't have to go and do this, just schedule it once, set it and forget it. So I'll just double click on the networking policy here and run a quick report. So here's a device inventory report. So what are you guys monitoring? What's on the system? You can have software inventory reports, executive summary reports, which will show the status, the health of the network, key devices under management. Let me go ahead and actually double click on this one here. And what I do is I'm going to select the customer. So what I'm running is I'm running reports on the fly. Give it a second to generate the report. All right, here we go. So key devices under management, alert response time. So some of this key things, you might want to be able to use the PSA for. So here you have your patch management status. We're looking at the top 10. Keep in mind any software inventory changes, bandwidth utilization, uptime. And there's the traffic flow that we talked about before. So what websites people are going to and the frequency of that. Device availability and a few other key metrics that you'd like to demonstrate to your customers. And again, just like in dashboard, you can customize your own reports as well. Let's jump into configuration backup. Configuration section. So in the configuration section, you'll find the scripting, policy management, patch management, antivirus, and administrative sections. A little bit about our custom scripts. We have built-in scripts that you can run on ForceScan and Power Connects. So we have built-in integration to those, so you can remove IP access lists, add interfaces, remove interfaces, all based either on on the fly, like this, through here, just schedule it and do it from this interface without having to log into the device, as long as we're monitoring it. Or you can do this based on a condition, so it can be an automated task, and I'll talk about that in literally about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll wrap it up with the policy section. We use any kind of standard shell or programming language script. Go into the extensions here. So PowerShell, VB, Perl, Java. You can put in the program path, so you can use Python if you wanted to. So you can push out modules or scriptlets, whatever you want to call them, build programs that you want to run on the device. Now this does require having an agent installed, so the scripts can run locally on that device. And we have a pretty good library of scripts here, so rebooting computers, cleaning temporary folders, disk defrags, and whatnot. On our community, we also have a few more detailed scripts such as monitoring file servers, deploying software, uninstalling software, and whatnot. And it's as simple as just copying and pasting the script and creating your own library here. Jump into patch management. So we support patches for Windows here. Setting it up is pretty simple. If you want to approve any device, any patches from here, so here we have the default action. All you need to do is just click on approve, click OK, make sure you click save, and this will install the patches at this specific time, depending on the settings. And if it requires a reboot, what do you want the system to do? So patch management, and there's a whole detailed video on the community on just specifically the patch management side of things. So I kind of covered a few other things. We talked about dashboards. We've talked about patch management and scripting. So I just want to take a quick minute again to see if there's any questions out there regarding those three aspects of our software. And then if not, we can move into the next section. So don't be shy. Yeah, there is an option. You can just simply monitor the patches so that you can just see. And you can find this in the report section and also on the detailed device view tab. So the question was, if I just want to simply monitor my Windows patches, not necessarily approve them, yes, you can do that. Adding the devices to the patch management group can be done through here, or it can be done through the device view tab. There is an option to push patches on the fly. There is that option, yes. And simply what you need to do is just go to the device tab, and there's an option. If you right click, it says run. You can run Windows Update or access to CLI if need be. All right, and antivirus deployment. We partner with Viper for antivirus. So this is just think of it as a replacement for their UI. We have our own built-in policies that are separate from the device policies that you can create exclusions, exceptions within the file extensions that you want to monitor, and what you want it to scan. So whether you want it to be active scan or just on a particular interval. An antivirus is deployed through here. So once you add the device to the policy group, it deploys the Viper package. It is licensed a little bit differently rather than less. This is one of the things that is, I don't know the dollars and cents to it, but it's licensed a little bit outside of the licenses for the PacketTrap solution itself. So it's kind of an add-on. And the administrative section. So pretty self-explanatory. You have your user management, PSA integrations, branding, custom SNMP monitoring. So anything out of the box that we don't monitor, you can create custom SNMP monitors for. You have your retention settings, flow configuration. Baselining is another key factor that we do to prevent against or mitigate against false positives as much as possible. I'll talk about that a little bit in the policy section once we're done here. So pretty self-explanatory, SMPT settings, proxy configurations, port management. For instance, what ports you want to be able to monitor, you just got to add them to the library here. And under user management, you have global notification rules that you can create. So you might not want every single engineer or user getting alerted off every single policy. You might want to curtail that and simply going into here and adding a rule on what you want this particular customer or this particular user, I'm sorry, to alert off. Or receive alerts for. All right, let's get into the device view tab. And I'm talking a little bit about policies. So every device must belong to a specific policy. And within the policy, you have your monitoring capabilities, the frequency of the monitors, the devices that belong to it. So this is a global policy. So any customer, whether it's a dental office or Acme Networks, will belong to this policy. So any changes made will apply across the board. We also have specific local policies that, let's say you have just one BlackBerry server for one customer. You could create a global policy, but you may just want to apply it to a specific customer so that that customer can view their own policies if you give them access to the device or to the studio, to the PacketTrap studio. Here you have your monitors, the frequency of the monitors, the settings. Some of them require settings, some of them don't. You can add specific monitors that are not already there in this policy. So you can customize what each policy monitors, so reducing the load on the network. If you're not worried about IP configuration, or you can exclude specific drives or interfaces from being managed and monitored. This is where you would create filters for SNMP traps and syslog listener and syslog messages. So that way, you can not monitor specific facilities and severities or exclude specific OIDs or messages that a specific SMP trap has or community strengths associated to it. Applying custom monitors in here. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. Either if you click on Add Monitor, you can do it from here. You can do it on the individual device level. So within PacketTrap, there's a few ways to do a couple of things. So not necessarily there's only one means to access this. And here we have the alerts. So we have templates, some templates built for alerts, as well as you can customize your own templates. And down here you can see which users are alerted from this policy here. So sometimes they might belong to this policy, but they're only getting alerts if they belong to this customer. And again, that is done in the notification rules. So click on Add Alert, and it pops up a new UI here, or a new tab. Give it a friendly name, the severity priority, if you want to be notified on this alert, or if you would like for this alert to generate a ticket. So this is where you would specify whether a specific alert, regardless of going from yellow or green, also generates a ticket in the PSA that you're working with. So if you just simply have it set to, generate the alert, it will take the device from green to yellow and possibly red, but it may not have it send a ticket. So depending on the alert, you can customize that here. And this is everything we can alert off from Active Directory counters, configuration file changes, event logs, both application system and security event logs, inventory changes, switch power, supply status, temperature, fan speed, interface utilization, CRC errors, disk-free HTTP counters, exchange counters, Windows services that are running, not running, processes, pretty much anything you can think of, we can create an alert for. Now, one of the things I mentioned was the baseline. So instead of alerting off a fixed value, you can compare it to an average. Over a period of time, our system is going to collect this average, and you can alert off it. So this is to prevent false positives. As a network, there's anomalies in CPU, sometimes spikes high. So to not get alerts when that occurs, but if it occurs over a period of time and it, at 100% capacity or utilization for a period of 10 minutes above the baseline, then I want to receive an alert for that, because now, there's something going on that's not normal. It's outside of the norm. And, high CPU usage can be indicative of hardware errors or other problems you might experience with a PC or server or router or switch. So once you create a condition, we can create a new action. We can either stop a service, kill a process, send a syslog message to trigger another condition or alert, or we can run a custom script straight from here. So this is another way of when I talked about, automating the scripts, you can do it on a frequency, on a schedule, but you can also do it based on a condition. So that's a high-level overview of our RMM solution. There's a lot of, some other capabilities that we have in terms of deployment. Very easy network discovery. One of the things I didn't cover is clicking on Add Devices. We have one of the best and fastest network discovery out there. This will, you have a couple of options. You can either run a simple network discovery. This will ping every single device out there, or you can go ahead and deploy agents. And this right here will not find the routers and switches. So if you decide to do the routers and switches first, you can always deploy the agent straight from the view that we had here using the tools, deploying an agent. So onboarding a customer is very easy, fast, and simple. Just go ahead and click on Next. You put in the IP range. You can select a different agent to do the discovery. So if you have different subnets, you might want to keep the monitoring local. You can use different agents to do the monitoring. And obviously, if you're rediscovering something, if somebody's added a particular device to a site, you can exclude existing devices. So at this time, like I said, this is going to be about 35, 40-minute presentation. I want to kind of open the door up for discussion, Q&A, any kind of scenarios or questions you might have that we can answer today in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So in terms of retention settings, somebody asked a question, that's configured down here. We do have to use a SQL backend, a SQL Server backend. So you can configure how long you want the data stored in the retention settings. Sure. For Avaya, we monitor the active voice streams. I'm not sure if we have any right now. We do have a call history. So for Avaya, IP Office, and Aurora, we have call history, MOS, jitter, latency. We can alert off these key fields, and then just here you got your, just broken into specific data types. So last hour, last day, week, month. So somebody asked about network congestion, how this helps discover it. Monitoring it, so what you would do is you would monitor the interface utilization. Um, if it goes above normal based on the baseline so we would capture the baseline over a period of, let's say, 2 to 4 weeks. And if it goes above normal, then you can use the network traffic flow piece, the S flow, J flow, N flow, whatever you have configured, to diagnose what is congesting the network, whether it's somebody streaming YouTube or listening to Pandora. Do I need to maybe increase the pipe for my customer? We also have a custom script available that utilizes a program called iPerf to measure the available bandwidth. So not always could it be that the congestion is a result of something internal, whether it be a hardware error or actually somebody streaming a big amount of data, but it could be that the ISP is not providing the available resources. So we have a script that you can automate and run, and the way it would work is we set up a threshold either off a fixed value or baseline and then initiate that task as a action within the policy section to alert you off that, okay, we have available, the bandwidth has not exceeded the threshold. I'm sorry, there is available bandwidth from the ISP side. We are getting the right amount of up-down. There is no high degree of packet loss. There is no, high degree of latency, or vice versa. There might be an increased amount of packet loss on a particular interface. There might be an increased amount of latency, and what is the cause of that? The cause of that might be, again, somebody utilizing a huge chunk of that bandwidth that they shouldn't be, so that maybe they're out of compliance, or that might be a result of a hardware error that you can collect through an SNMP trap, so it can alert you off that. And I had something on the other top of my head. It could be a configuration change. So all those little key factors will help you put the pieces together in terms of what it can and what it's not. So eliminating the root causes and getting to the root causes, so that you can pinpoint, your time and try to diagnose the network. So the network map is going to show you what segment of the network is being affected, so that you can, take a look and make sure that. Forget off the top of my head. Sorry. Let's go on to. I hope that answers the question. Let's go into. This is going to be recorded, and again, if there is more detailed questions, once you exit the WebEx, there'll be a pop-up prompt, landing page, and if you can just contact your sales rep, who probably will be giving you a call, or if you put your information in there, we can do a more detailed conversation, a one-on-one, in terms of your specific needs and how PacketTrap can assist you in diagnosing the problem, and what the steps are that that you would need to do to set it up properly so that it diagnoses the problem for you. So yeah, with the iPerf script is you can have some proof. So not just blaming the ISP, but you can have some proof as to that it is the ISP's, because the iPerf script has a couple of switches in there, parameters that you can throw in to measure not only available bandwidth, but also the packet loss on the UDP and TCP network. You can measure bidirectional bandwidth use and whatnot. So there's a little bit more detailed discussion. And if you just go to the community within the product, so some of you might be existing customers or downloading, if you just go in the community and you type in here iPerf, there's the script right here. It's very simple to deploy, detailed instructions on how to use this, and a bunch of screenshots to help you set it up. All webinars will be available through marketing. I think they put it on YouTube. I'm not exactly sure. But there are a lot of pre-recorded webinars. Again, if you just contact your sales rep, they'll be happy to provide this webinar for you. We do these about once every 2 weeks, once a week. And then we do have a one-on-one detailed information. So there are instructional videos on the community, and all the webinars are on the community as well, I believe. Or on our website. So yeah, here we go. So instructional videos. Well, I hope this was an informative one-way conversation. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. The landing page will give you all the contact info that you need. Again, my name is Mike Plotkin. It was a pleasure talking to you today. I hope everybody has a great day, evening, or morning, depending on where you are in the world today. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So enjoy the rest of your day. I look forward to speaking to every single one of you. And that's it. Thank you a lot.